Hey ladies, I'm Ashton Lynn and this is Jade of Women Who Work, and we were here working and we were talking about having this really awesome, courageous conversation with it being April Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we decided to hop on and just share some of our thoughts about what we're speaking. And this is super impromptu. Um, we have been, we have our notes here just because we were just talking about this and kind of going super deep. So um, that's what we're going to discuss. It is Sexual Awareness Month, and just so that we're on the same page about, like, okay, what is a sexual assault? So, RAINN, who is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, they are the largest anti sexual violence organization here in the US, and they define sexual assault as attempted rape, fondling or unwanted sexual touching, forcing a victim to perform sexual acts such as oral sex or penetrating the perpetrator's body, and penetration of the victim's body. So that kind of gives us the basics to know when we say sexual assault, that's what we're referring to.
Yeah. Now, yeah, this is a. We were just having a conversation of some of the experiences that we've had, and we've all dealt with it. Every single woman that I know has dealt with some sort of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and we see it as like it is unfortunately so common that we just kind of dismiss it, from as far as just, getting catcalled at or, being touched unwanted, things like that. It's so normal. It's normal, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like a part of society. Um, and so that way, like when it says like touching, sometimes you may not think of that as a sexual assault, but it is, especially, the unwanted touching.
Right, right, absolutely. And
There's so many stats centered around this topic, and we were reading them, and we were like, whoa, some of them were very shocking, while others were very surprising.
yeah, so some of the stats are for every 1,000 rapes in the US, 995 of those go unpunished. So that means 5 out of every 1,000 actually have some sort of punishment. And as we all know, the punishment for sexual assault, for abuse, for rape, um, are the repercussions are typically very minimal. A lot of times it's just probation, maybe some time in jail, but oh God forbid, you have
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah, there's definitely ways people get, I mean, for the drugs, they're punished. Um, they have longer sentences, more harsher. Um, the prosecution is just way worse than,
Right.
generally speaking, than for sexual assault, which is very unfair, especially when it involves a child.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Also, an American is sexually assaulted every 93 seconds. So every minute and a half, somebody is being sexually assaulted here in the US. And this includes men and women.
And I think that's a good point because a lot of, although women get sexual assaulted at far higher rates than men, men get sexual assaulted too.
Absolutely. And over 80% of sexual assaults are committed by an acquaintance. Now, this is nothing that is shocking, honestly, because I think that more times than not, even just our personal stories that we've heard from others, others' experiences, it's always someone that you know, someone that you're acquainted with, whether it be closely or not. That's typically what it is. And 90% are women. So as we said, men are as well assaulted sexually, um, but 90% are women.
Yeah, which
Which
is not surprising.
it's not surprising, but we need to do something about this.
Absolutely.
Um, and also, less than 20% of rapes are even reported. So given these stats here, and only this is only considering the less than 20% that are actually reported. So there's 80% that are not reported, and that's, if we were to look at the 1,000 rapes, and 995 being going unpunished, that number is 4 times higher than what it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you think about, because I think these stats were obviously pre-pandemic era,
Yes.
and last year, I mean, we're probably never going to know the extent of sexual assaults that occurred while being in quarantine, just because there were so many resources that people couldn't get access to, and um, just the world stopped and it was a weird place. So I definitely can bet that last year those numbers are even higher.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we had there's been the Me Too movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was so powerful, and it is still very powerful in our society for helping our world change, be different, evolve, and um, evolve, from where we are intelligent beings. We should not be living as wild animals, and this shouldn't be accepted, essentially. So the Me Too movement was so powerful, and it really allowed and gave permission and gave encouragement for women and men, but primarily women, to know that it's okay to say something. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to say, hey, me too, me too, me too, me too. And it was so powerful to see as well, famous people, celebrities, kind of taking a real charge on that, and saying that, a lot of times we look at, this perfect picture, and these people that are rich and have everything, as they're not suffering from this.
Exactly.
That's not the case. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter any of that. None of that matters. We are all going to experience it. We all have experienced it. We all have people that we know that have experienced it.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, it's there.
Yeah, I really do think I'm glad that men started to speak up too. I'm glad that just having this conversation is just so important because, like Jade's saying, it's all over the place. I mean, like, Jade and I have known each other, we've been in each other's lives for like more than 20 years. So, when we were out clubbing or, just out in the streets, just being us, I mean, it was very rampant, just those situations. And like you said, what do you do? Okay, leave me alone, or sometimes you can't even say anything. There's so many instances. Like it's crazy that that is deemed touching someone else without their permission is deemed as an accepted action. And I really feel that there should be more teaching, not only to women of how to of what to do in these situations, but also to men. Like, hey, call your homeboy out because that's not cool. Um, Also teaching men and women, how to redirect situations. If, of course, this is just generally speaking, and sometimes there's absolutely nothing that can be done. But I feel like this should, there should be a bigger roar, a bigger noise about this, especially given the Me Too movement with so many celebrities speaking out against it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this conversation that we were having really brought us to kind of, okay, there needs to be a next level. So Me Too allowed the voices to be spoken, allowed people to speak up and say, hey, me too. But now what? Right? What do we do? What do all of us do in our day to day when something like this happens? What do we do when smaller instances happen of just sexual harassment, to put an end to that, to stop that, and prevent it from escalating to be further, whether it be in that moment or later on down the road. Having those male allies, and more so advocates teaching them also how to address this, how to confront or deflect or redirect a situation or that person, to prevent anything further from happening, knowing that hey, this is in the air, so to speak.
Absolutely. I was just looking up, okay, so what kind of information is there out there, and so there was some literature that I found, and it said, call 911 for immediate assistance, um, report to police, consider counseling, and then remember to care for yourself. And I mean, like Jay was saying, these things happen on so many different, if you're walking down the street, someone touches your butt, grabs your butt, like the chances of you reporting that to the police, like not many, like especially you don't even know who it was, especially if you're like in a crowd. So to me, considering counseling, when things are just so natural, like oh that just happens. So I really feel like these steps, while they can work in some situations, it's just not like this is just a blanketed advice that doesn't actually take consideration of the different levels, and then just that we're all different and we handle things, and our healing process is different, our journey is different. So like you said, I definitely feel like there should be more more out there as to what to do.
Right. Yeah. True guidance, things that we can use in our everyday lives. What what do you do? What's the right thing to do? Do you say something? Do you not say something? Do you just move away from the person? Is that enough? Do you tell others? Who do you tell? How do you tell them? You know, there's so many factors that go on with a given situation, and it's not always a lot of times you're in a situation that is welcoming and open. One of the situations that we were discussing was a situation that I had. We were Ash and I were together, and we were at a kind of like a family gathering, very family relaxed, laid back feel at a house, and barbecue, just hanging out, having a good time. No, nothing major, nothing serious. A very calm, relaxed atmosphere. And there was a group of a few guys that were there that were family friends, and it was fine. Um, I had a weird kind of intuition tell me early on that like I need to watch my drink. Something's not right. And I told Ashton immediately like, hey, I don't know, I just got this weird feeling. I don't know why. Um, so she was like, okay. She just kind of took note of that, and I from that point I just decided I didn't drink. I had one margarita that I made, and that was it. I just wasn't in the mood to drink anyway, so I just didn't drink the rest of the night. Um, well, fast forward to the end of the night, later in the night, we were all in the living room area. I was sitting on the couch where I had been sitting for at the same spot for a while, and there was a point where everyone kind of went outside and was talking with some guy that needed some help or something. So everyone was kind of outside, um, and I just stayed. Uh, I was just sitting there. Music was on. I was just there, and one of the guys that was there had been there. He was, completely we had referred to him as like little brother throughout the night.
Like he was just so super chill. Like he was doing karaoke, and he had his own concert.
Real,
he was
he was real, like sweet and innocent, and just literally just like, oh, that's little brother. Um, well, he came and sat next to me, and he's like, oh, let me know if I'm bothering you. I can leave. And I was like, no, you're fine. And there was some, little drama going on with the other guy outside, and I figured that's kind of what he was talking about. And I was like, no, I was like, you're fine. There's no problem. And so then he proceeded to put his arm around me and push me down with his body weight onto the couch. And I was just completely like in shock because, like I said, I wasn't expecting this from this guy at all. And I didn't allow him to like fully put my head down. I pushed back to him. And I was like, what the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, well, I said if I was bothering you. And I'm like, well, you weren't, but now you are. Like seriously, like what in the fuck? How do you even compute that in your mind? Like, what were you even thinking? Like, clearly this is how he gets girls, I guess. I mean, in his mind, this is okay. This is clearly something that he's done before. That him asking if he was bothering me was his way of asking for permission, I guess. I mean, I assume I'm just reflecting on this situation. And so I find myself there, the music's playing loud. Everyone's outside. It's only him and I here. And I had just taken off my shoes as well. And so I'm here like running through my mind, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? Okay. If I get to the door right here, I can see it. It's a clear shot, but there's kind of a little nook. And then I'm putting my back to him. Then I'm giving him the opportunity to come and snatch me up, come get me from behind. Whether I run or I try to go casually, what do I do? If I, scream, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, because we were all outside with the door closed. So
yeah, and the music was loud inside. Yeah. There was just nothing. So I literally just decided that okay, and then I'm thinking also, can I overpower this guy? If he tries something again, can I overpower him? I mean, he was a little guy. He was short. He wasn't a big guy, but he's still a guy. And I don't underestimate the physical strength there. Especially in a situation where somebody wants something, that force, that level of power that can be exerted is, I don't underestimate that at all. So I'm just there like, okay, I'm there like sitting up tall, like with all my strength, like just in case I'm ready. And I'm just like, oh, Ashton, you better come back fast. Like, oh my God. I was like, what do I do? So thankfully Ashton came back in pretty quickly, and he ended up moving back to where he was originally sitting at the entire time. And I immediately just text Ashton, and I was like, when she came back in next to me, and I was like, hey, this is what just happened. And I went to the restroom, and then, we went off and had our girl talk in whatever, just becoming aware of it.
In that moment, it's weird because we didn't think like, oh, we need to go tell someone. Like, we were with trusted men that we trusted, but we still never thought, hey, let's go tell them what just happened.
Yeah, and so this is what really brought this conversation up was, okay, well, what would have been the right thing? Because Ashton did, we talked to some of the men that were there that we knew the next day, and they had no clue that any of this happened. They had no clue that anything was going on. They were like, why didn't you say anything? I was like, why did you not say anything? And we're like, oh, okay.
I never thought about saying anything.
I guess
because nothing actually dangerously happened.
Nothing happened, right? And for me in that moment as well, at that time, I was thinking like, I don't want to embarrass the guy. I was thinking about like him being embarrassed or, like, whatever. Nothing actually happened, so whatever. I also didn't want, a drama or a fight to break out. Things like that, So it's like
thinking about the perpetrator versus the victim, which is what a lot of victims do.
Right. Absolutely. So this just really, and talking with the other males that were there later, it really made us think like, oh, well, dang, I guess we should have said something. And, I think because we have known each other for so long, and we've gone through so many experiences together, we feel like, okay, well, I got your back, you got my back. So it was like, okay, we have each other. Right. We're both looking out. But the problem with that is that nobody else knew. When we could have just told one other person, that would have also been able to been that ally or advocate had it been further, rather than us just, handling our own, which is what we've always done.
Yeah.
And so this just really, posed the question, like, what do you do in this moment? Like, do you speak up? Do you say something? And then I also, thought, okay, well, this guy, like I said, clearly he thinks this is okay. Clearly he has
Right.
no idea that there's a problem. So maybe I should call him out. Maybe I should have embarrassed him, because whether or not it changed anything in that situation, because obviously nothing else was going to happen. Nothing had happened. Um, but maybe that would have made him think.
And also, it's like nothing had happened, but nothing serious. There was no penetration, but someone forcing themselves on you is a form of sexual assault. It's not the most, it's not a
Extreme,
extreme case.
full on, but
Right.
but
It's the
it
beginning,
was
and it had the potential.
exactly. And had I have froze, which I know is very common, hey, who knows what would have happened, right? Um, it was just the way that it was handled in that situation. There's no telling where it could have gone. Um, but I found myself thinking, like, I should have called him out. I should have embarrassed him, because even if it didn't change anything in that situation, it might have made him think, at least think, maybe in the future, or at least be like told that, hey, that's not right, because he perhaps has never been told that.
Yeah, he may not know. I mean, it sounds kind of weird because obviously, putting your hands on someone, you should know not to do that and to get permission. But some people are not taught, especially when you think about different cultures, especially cultures that where men are up here and women are down here. There's a lot of differences, especially with different cultures.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, and Jade and I were also talking about an experience that I had where same thing. I went to a lake party, and there was family, there was kids, there was aunts, uncles. Um, a lot of the people that were there were people I had partied with before, so it was just like real chill. So I felt very comfortable in drinking, and I didn't get any hints that hey, watch out for anyone, because I was just you know having a great time dancing. Like it was just amazing. And I had someone with me, thank God. Um, with someone super close to me that just knows me, very well. Um, so at one point in the night, I went to get another drink, and I had met this guy that I had never seen it ever in my, he had never been to any of the previous parties, but we had a conversation about, him, and he was talking about his girlfriend and all kinds, so I was like, oh, cool. Well, girlfriend wasn't there, but I was like, okay, so I guess, like, yeah, I kind of let my guard down because, oh, you have a girlfriend, you're cool. Uh, so I needed a drink, and he was like, hey, there's a table that everyone was getting drinks at. There was like a table full of bottles, and he said, I can get your drink from here, or do you want a margarita? I have a margarita in this cooler, and it was like over to the side. And I was like, I just want a margarita. Tequila, yes. And I didn't even get halfway through the drink, and I dropped my cup. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And the person was like, you dropped your cup. Are you that drunk? Do you haven't drank that much? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And so, we're just like going through the night. And then at one point, I had to use the bathroom. And like I said, we're at the lake. It's like a bonfire. It's super dark out there. And I could have walked to the porta potty, but I didn't want to walk that way. So there was a spot kind of close to the water that I was like, okay, I'll just go over there. Um, so I go, and then as I'm finishing, I look up, and here comes the guy. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm going to pee. And I'm like, okay. Because no one could even see me. Like, I went, like, let me just find that dark corner so I can pee, and no one's going to see me. And then when he finished, he was, like, talking to me, and I was, like, trying to, put my hands up and things. And then the person I was with showed up, like, thank God. Um, she showed up on number. She's like, hey, I've been looking for you. I'm like, oh, I'm here. And then as the night went on, honestly, I don't remember much. I remember bits and pieces, but I know when we left and we got home, I threw up everywhere, so I immediately know I don't like to throw up. Like, I will stay sick in bed all day, and all I need to do is throw up. That's just me. So I was like, I think I got drugs. So this doesn't make sense. I don't remember parts of the night. Um, and who was that guy? So the next morning, I tried to eat. I couldn't eat, and then I like went to sleep for a little bit. Woke up, and I just felt like, oh my god, something's wrong. And I tried to go to get my mom, and I fell in the bathroom and busted my chin open. So she had to actually take me to the emergency room. I had to get stitches. Like you guys can't really see it. It's like really small. There's like a small scar, but um, yeah. Then at the hospital, they treated me not very well because it's like, hey, I was drugged. Take your drug test. Well, what the hell was that? And they just gave me the runaround and stitched me up, but pretty much nothing. And I'm like calling the guy whose party it is, like, hey, who the hell was that guy? And he's like, who are you talking about? I have no idea. So the guy just got off, and um, thinking about where I was, because I told you guys I was like, when it was just me and him, I couldn't either. I'm jumping in the water to get away from him, or I have to bulldoze my way and try to, you know, get away from him. And the chances of that, and he was way bigger than me, not that big of a person. So it was really scary just to know that someone literally wanted to do something to me without my permission, and they wanted to do that so bad that they chose to, you know, to drug me so that I could not defend myself, so that I could not speak, or just all these things. So I could just, so that was really hard to deal with, and especially, oh, no one knows who he is now. I'm like, how do you? Who? So he just gets off and he gets to keep doing this, like you said, and there's no repercussions, nothing. I don't know who he was. I don't remember his name. I was blocking out, blocking out. So there's another person, one of the, that gets off.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like, good thing your friend came up right at the same time. Just it's oh, it's crazy. Um, and so this, there's also the point when something does happen, and it is full extreme rape or close to it. um, we get persecuted for, oh, why didn't you speak up sooner? Why are you saying something
Why did
now?
you let it get that far?
Yeah, why didn't you stop it? Did you say no? All of these things which are like, it redirects the blame to be on the victim. And that really dismisses and undermines the power of fear. Even in my situation that I talked about, nothing actually happened, right? But I was sitting there in fear as I was trying to figure out what my next step was. Do I jet to the door? Do I not? What do I do? I was scared.
Yeah, even like when we were both scared, I was like, hey, because she was gonna leave, and we're like, okay, but is he gonna be like, he left, but was he down the street waiting to actually get his fill? So we're like, hey, I'm like, I call me when you get home, lock the doors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely very unsettling.
Yeah, for the rest of the night, we're like on high guard. I already was thankfully on this kind of alert, but again, I didn't even suspect this guy here. Um, but yeah, it's like I couldn't even leave because even after he left, like, okay, let me wait a while. And then as I was driving, the entire time I'm looking at my rear view just to make sure he wasn't parked down the road and coming up to follow me once he saw me leave. So at least we have that kind of awareness of self-protection, really. But it's not. It's there's fear of retaliation, fear of shame, fear of it backfiring,
not being believed, of not being heard,
absolutely,
of not being taken seriously,
of it being dismissed or belittled. And I mean, so many times the woman is, oh, well, she was asking for it. Oh, she wanted it. Oh, blah, blah. Or, oh, it just happened. Why are you going to ruin this guy's life? Like,
it was an accident.
Okay, well,
he didn't mean it. He was drunk. He was drunk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But it's like the change that makes to the victim's emotional, mental, spiritual well-being is carried on. That doesn't just stop in that moment. If anything, that's where it begins. And that's why they recommend going to counseling. Hey, that's all great, but like, how do you stop it from happening? What are things that we can do
in the moment to help prevent it?
to
Yeah.
diminish it, to
Yeah.
lower those numbers, all these stats, like to lower these numbers, to make it where every minute and a half somebody's not getting sexually assaulted.
It's a really big, I mean, obviously, it's going to take all of us to do that. And that's why we're going to follow up with this conversation with a mental health professional, someone that kind of has experience dealing with answering some of these questions. But I feel like it's a topic, it's a conversation that we should all have so that we do have some of these answers, because I don't feel that it's kind of out there like it needs to be, like those steps.
Absolutely. So, we really want to be able to be that resource and give that guidance, from a professional to give more like usable, adequate guidance and tips for handling these situations than just call 911 and go to therapy.
Journal about your experience.
Yeah, like what can you actually do in the moment when things happen, so to prevent them from escalating further, and also how can we build this courageous conversation not just within women but with men as well.
Absolutely.
to be able to help for them to be able to stand up for us in the moment while it's happening, or while it's feeling like it's about to happen.
Before it escalates, because one of the men that we talked to was like, oh, if you would have told me something, I would have put that to bed like that. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
We thought we were handling it. Obviously we were handling it the best way we knew, but there are resources that can be used and should be used. So let's definitely continue this conversation. Before we go, we want to give a little, because we're talking about sexual, or you can show them, because we're talking about sexual abuse victims, I want to let you guys know about an awesome organization called the Sanctuary Project. They're here in Austin. It's a nonprofit that it's a survivor-run nonprofit organization that offers a safe community for women survivors of trafficking, violence, and addiction. And they make the survivors actually get job training and opportunities, and they make beautiful jewelry like this. And so 100 of the proceeds of the sales from these pieces go directly to the survivors. And this is the Behind the Bars collection. So definitely check them out. I believe the website sanctuaryproject.com. But Holly over there was one of our Work It Award winners. And so I definitely want to give her a shout out, because she's doing her work to help these women move forward in their lives. And we also want to give you guys a heads up that our work camp event is happening on May 8th. It's going to be a great time. It's an experience where we fuse yoga, journaling, powerful conversations such as this. We offer resources and support, co-working for women who just want to take time out to get clear about their goals, to release some things, so they can move forward and doing what and building and creating that life, that wonderful, fulfilled, and happy life that we all deserve.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely would love for you all to come. We really focus on going deep and healing from the inside out, so that you can live your highest and greatest life. And it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's really
powerful. So here is to learning your power, owning your power, and living in your power.